Let's talk to Amin El Hassan, who is in Chicago, getting ready for Warriors Bulls. But before we bring him in, let's let you hear one more time what he said on the Oddball podcast via Meadowlark with regard to all you Dubs fans who booed the last two games.
By the way, I'd like to point out that from 1994 to 2013, the Warriors made the playoffs one time. So, respectfully to everyone in the Bay Area, or everyone who claims to be a Warriors fan, when you say we're not used to this, I say go f*** yourself. You were defined by this for damn near 20 years. 20 years. Your high point was an 8 seed winning one round of playoff basketball. Who the f*** are you to all of a sudden be the wine and cheese crowd? Like, we're not used to this peasantry. What? You defined it. Before the We Believe Warriors, you know what the Warriors are most known for? Their player choking the coach in practice. That's who the Warriors were.
Foreshadowing? Sorry.
Well done.
All right. Yeah, speaking of well done, it's a good rant. Amin joins us now. We want to squeeze in the breaking news that Moses Moody will miss the road trip.
Okay.
Steve Kerr has announced that he will be out at least 4 games with his calf injury, so no Moses Moody in any of these 4 games on the trip. But now, let's go ahead and bring in Amin El Hassan. Hey there, man. Why all the energy for Warriors fans?
It was something very irritating about hearing, them boo and Steph Curry say, I would have booed us too, and Steve Kerr saying, I would have booed us too, and all this talk about booing. And I guess for me, they told me years ago, people said, watch, when they move from Oakland to San Francisco, it's going to change. I said, no, it's not. It's like a subway ride. Oh, okay, you're going to games here, you're going to go games over there. Like, everyone was commuting anyway. No one was living right around the arena. Everyone was commuting. I was like, no, it's not going to change. And lo and behold, it's changed. I remember that stretch of years that I was talking about there, a 20-year period roughly. Going to Warriors games, the Warriors would win 20 games, 25 games. The arena was full. It was one of the loudest arenas. It was one of the hardest buildings to play in. And now, these are the people who are booing Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Steve Kerr? There was a part of me that was just offended on behalf of the city. I don't know what I was offended on, to be honest. Was I offended on behalf of the Warriors? Was I offended on behalf of the city of Oakland? Was I offended on behalf of the legacy of ineptitude that these people seem to have forgotten? One of these things flew over everybody's head in that building. I get it. The team hasn't been playing well. I'm not saying you got to like it. But when you take the step of booing people have brought most of those people the happiest moments, the happiest moments of their life, that to me is next level disrespectful and also kind of like unappreciative at all.
Yeah, and you're not wrong in that sentiment, but these are not the same people that were in Oakland during those years. And yeah. I was among the people who was in Oakland all those years. I'm born and raised here, and I suffered through all of it. And part of the move, it's more than geography. And I know that you are familiar with the demographics of East Bay versus Peninsula. So these people, the people who have seen 9 of the last 11 years as a playoff team and 4 times in the championship and 2 times not winning the championship but being in the finals, these are not the same people. So it's tough for me when you say what you said, even though you were spot on in terms of the sentimentality of your statement. It's a completely different demographic now.
I thought, Damon Bruce and all those guys told me a long time ago, it's going to change. And I said, come on. I was like, you guys are overblowing it. I was like, in my mind, foolishly, I thought about it like if Madison Square Garden moved to Queens. All right, like, what's the deal? Or it moved to Jersey. Like, what's this? The same people. We all live in the same area. We go to the same places. Like, it did not hit me that the demographic, I know what the demographic difference is between East Bay and the Peninsula. It didn't hit me that the demographics would change inside the building. I thought ultimately the building was still going to be a melting pot of the entire Bay Area. And I was dastardly wrong, I guess.
I mean, let me ask it this way, because at the core of your point, it sounds like when you say, how are you booing these people who have helped give you some of your favorite moments, how does that translate to someone, in your opinion, like Draymond Green, who's been a big part of that, but then also presents this other side to him that is really starting to turn people off? So should they be blindly loyal to him?
No, because I think in that case, so when you talk about Steph and Clay and Kerr and Looney and whoever was been around for the good glory days, who's now playing or coaching, like those people are doing their best, right? And you know what? It's not good enough. There are a lot of injuries. There are a lot of inconsistencies in the lineups. There's a lot of reasons why. But Steph goes out there. We don't think Steph's dogging it. We don't think Clay's dogging it out there, right? Now, when it comes to Draymond, I think there's a difference between not playing well and doing things that actively impact your team negatively by not being available. And so I think in some way, yes, he deserves some ire because some of this failure that's happening right now is on him. He's been missing for, 14, however many games it's been. So, yes, he does deserve to be maligned for that, right? And held accountable for that. But he wasn't in the building. They weren't chanting F you, Draymond, or Draymond, this is your fault. They booed the guys that were out there trying to win the game. And again, if this were Detroit, I'd be like, yeah, you guys are this is unacceptable. No one should be this bad. The team needs to be better from the top all the way down to the guys on the floor. But that's not the case here, man. It's a team that's underachieving, for sure, not up to championship caliber, but also have had their fair share of adversity that's preventing them from being as good as they could be. And again, if you want to say, hey, Draymond, this is your fault, that's cool, but then you need to direct them, like in the words of my man Steven Jackson, you need to put a name and an address on those boos. You can't just throw out boos willy-nilly.
Right, and that's kind of what fans do. And I was a little surprised myself, in terms of the booing for a team that's just 3 games below 500. And as I mentioned, 4 championships and, 9 playoff appearances in 11 years. But do you think that the booing is indicative of the fans maybe looking at this team and seeing where this thing is heading and perhaps the dynasty drawing to an inextricable close?
Maybe. There's entitlement. There's definitely a sense of entitlement that I bought a ticket to the greatest show on earth, and I'm not getting that. But there is another part of it where there is maybe there's a trepidation of oh man, this is what the window shutting looks like. This is what it feels like. But I can't think I think about so many teams that went through that where they were great dynasties and then it kind of sputtered at the end. And whenever the people responsible were out there towards the end, the crowd usually gives them the thank you ovation. Guys, I know it's over, but thank you for all the memories. You have exceptions I'm in Chicago right now. They didn't have the chance to do that because Jerry Krause went from Parade to starting Dragon Tarlac and Dalibor Bagaric and names like that. So people in Chicago never got that opportunity to say thank you for everything. And tonight they're doing a Ring of Honor celebration to induct the 95-96 Bulls as well as Johnny Red Kerr and a bunch of other artists, Gilmore, a lot of other Bulls luminaries into their Ring of Honor tonight. But that's a different situation. When however frustrated you are, however oh my God, it's over, you're feeling as a Warriors fan. To me, until Steph Curry says, F you, I never liked it here anyway, you got to applaud that man every single time he walks on the court, even if they lose by 100 every game from here on out. As long as he's playing and he's respecting the game, you respect him, you respect what he does. Because, again, the best moments of your miserable life have come thanks to that guy and the guys around him.
That hit real close to home, Jeez.
Amin Elhassan is joining us here on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Some choice comments for Warriors fans booing on the Oddball podcast. You got any ideas on how to fix the Warriors?
Oh, now we're talking.
Let's go.
Now we're talking. Mike Dunleavy's got a lot of work to do. Here's in a perfect world, I call up my guy Doc Brown. We get into the DeLorean. We go back a couple of years ago. championship, win it that summer, you got to trade all the young guys. They had just played well, you got to trade them. You got to package those guys and go get Pascal Siakam or some other defined player. This is my favorite NBA trope, right? Whenever they say, but this guy's really good, he could be really good. I say, how good could he be? So he could be as good as Pascal Siakam at least, or even better. I'm like, okay, you could get a guy who might be as good as Pascal Siakam one day, or you could get Pascal Siakam right now. You get him right now. And for the Warriors, who are within their window, they flew too close to the sun. They wanted to do this thing where it's like, we're going to win championships and develop our future. And the reality is, it's hard. It's damn near impossible. Show me an example of someone who's done that in the last 25 years in the NBA, in our sport, where they've developed the future simultaneously while winning titles. The closest thing would have been like the 86 Celtics drafting Len Bias and having Reggie Lewis and those guys. And obviously we know that didn't turn out the way it was supposed to. But point being, this is hard, man. So the game is always the game. And this goes out to Joe Lacob and all the owners that have come in as disruptors. I know you think you can do it better than anyone else has ever done, and everyone, all the old people who've done it are dumb. They don't know what they're doing, and, you could do both and be in light years ahead. But this thing is really hard to do, win championships. So when you have a window that's open for it, you go full throttle. To hell with the future. You win as many as you can in that window. And when it's exhausted, you say thank you to everyone for the memories, and we start over. That's the only way to do it. And they had that opportunity in that moment. They had just won a championship. Their guys were riding high. Those young guys had played pivotal roles, small pivotal roles. That's the time where you say, I'm going to sell high. I'm going to get established guys to keep this thing going. Because, and I know I'm running long here, but when you think about the Warriors teams that won the titles, we think about Steph, Clay, Draymond, KD. Absolutely. They're stars. They're beyond amazing, top 75 players, etc. But the other thing that was really important was you had a supporting cast that was all really smart, really high IQ vets, not young guys. Those guys, you might have an Ian Clark here, a Patrick McCaw there, but the majority of your minutes, Sean Livingston, Andrew Bogut, David West, Leandro Barbosa, David Lee, Zaza Pachulia. You go down the list, Andre Iguodala. All these are guys, Otto Porter with this most recent one, right? All guys who have been around the league, knew what they were doing, knew how to play. Not guys like, I'm trying to prove that I'm really good too. Like, no, it wasn't that. They didn't have, I'm trying to do good. I'm good. I'm just as good as Steph. They didn't have that energy. They had, hey, we're here to get something done. And that means I got to take a step back. That means I got to focus on this thing. That means I've got to be a much lesser version of myself than I've been in my career and that I could probably be right now. I'll do it. That's what helped them win championships beyond the greatness of the talent at the top.
A little Fredo Corleone in that rant with, I can do things, Mike. I'm smart. That was good, Amin. I like that. That was strong. So the key to the two timelines was a bridge player in Andrew Wiggins. But, oh, boy, that didn't really seem to work out. What do you think, and what does the league abroad think of Andrew Wiggins in this moment in terms of the trade deadline in 27 days?
It's like, for me, Wiggins has never, like, he played his best basketball those 2-3 years, right? Like, there was a rehabilitation, if you will, of him coming from Minnesota that first year when the Warriors were terrible, and there was a lot of him learning and sitting next to guys and learning. And then the next year played really well, and then obviously played really well in the championship year. He was an all-star, but I think that was more a function of Warriors being really good and him putting up good numbers rather than him truly being like one of the best forwards. To me, bridge player had to be someone who could jump to the next echelon, who's showing the ability to be like a major feature player. I don't have to say franchise player, but a major feature player. To me, Wiggins was always at his best being a rich man's Harrison Barnes, a high-level role player, defends, but versatile, hits shots, and in big moments sometimes can have a burst that takes you over the top. He was never, okay, and now the keys are yours, okay, or you're our number 2 best player. I never got that vibe, not even at his best. So for that to be the plan for the transition, maybe I'm a pessimist. I never saw that in him, but I mean, now as we stand it here, I think the league looks at him like he's Andrew Wiggins. under contract for several years because they gave him that deal. And so, do you want this guy? What can he do for you as a team? Is this for an up-and-coming team? Is he the vet that's going to lead an up-and-coming? I don't think he's that kind of guy. He's going to lead young guys. Is he the missing piece on a championship team? Maybe. But if he were the missing piece, maybe the Warriors could have used him a little better.
Amin Elhassan, now I was going to boo you on your way out, but then you have provided us with one of the greatest moments in the history of our show, and so now I'm told that we're not allowed to.
You know what? I'm like Clay. I could take the booze. I don't care.
You're not going to lose sleep? You're not going to lose sleep, huh?
I'm not going to lose sleep.
Okay, boo! Boo! All right, Amin. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, there he goes. That's Amin Elhassan.